Hello everyone, Chris Profi, Musically Obsessed. I'm on a roll today, so I'm gonna do another video, but I'll probably post it tomorrow, so you're probably watching this Monday, but whatever. I gotta get this out of the way. This is another album that happens to be my favorite album of this band, and the band is Slayer. Slayer! I wish I could scream that and not lose my voice. And the album is South of Heaven. So like I did with the Maiden album, just take a look at that artwork. I'm gonna just stop talking for a second. Now, this album came out in 1988. I was 14 years old. What 14-year-old wouldn't want to listen to this album? I mean, look at that cover. Just amazing. I like Somewhere in Time. I have a newer pressing of this album. This is on 180 gram vinyl, and it sounds great. And it happens to be the only Slayer album I have on vinyl. I have all their stuff on CD, but this happens to be the only vinyl I have by them. And I wanted to make sure that I had it because it is my favorite, absolute favorite Slayer album. I remember when I first heard this album. It's so clear in my head. I was at an overnight church gathering for the youth group. I mean, yeah, because when I think church youth group, I think Slayer, right? But for whatever reason, I was there. I had my Walkman. I had 2 cassettes with me. And I think I borrowed them from friends. It was Slayer, South of Heaven, and Voivod, Dimension Hatros. Is that how you say it? Hatros or Hatros? I'm not sure. But I remember listening to Slayer, South of Heaven, and Voivod's Dimension Hatros overnight that night on my Walkman, and being just blown away. I could not stop listening to those 2 records, especially this one. And I still vividly remember that. This is my #1 Slayer album for so many reasons. I love Rain and Blood. I love the song Angel of Death. And I appreciate that album and I appreciate that song for what it is. But it's not an album that I go back to a lot. Their earlier albums, Show No Mercy, Hell Awaits, I love those albums as well. The later albums, I love Seasons in the Abyss. I love Divine Intervention. I'm not a huge fan of the later albums like God Hates Us All and all the other ones. I tend to always go back to this record. And I think the reason is because all the stars aligned for Slayer on this album. I think the sound quality is top-notch production-wise, produced by Rick Rubin. I think the songwriting is top of the line. I feel like Tom's vocals on this album, he really locked into a great vocal approach. It's not just screaming, it's sort of scream singing. I think the songs are varied more than Rain and Blood. I feel like Rain and Blood was just pummeling over your head, song after song after song, and it didn't give you a chance to like just take in the music. This album, there's varied speeds in it, which I love. I feel like the band is in top form here. You've got Lombardo on drums, Hanneman and King on guitars, and I feel like they're just all locked in. I mean, this was 1988. This was like the year of metal, and this is when all the stars aligned and you had this masterpiece come out. Let's just talk about the songs, okay? Again, I was 14 years old when this came out. Slayer used to scare the crap out of me as a kid. Like, it would just give me goosebumps whenever I listened to them. And it still gives me goosebumps, which shows you the music is very powerful. Every freaking song on this album is amazing. Side 1, South of Heaven. The guitar intro to that is amazing. It's such a slow build. The lyrics in that song are just so creepy. Does this have a custom inner? I think it does. Well, it has the lyrics. Let me just read you some of these lyrics from South of Heaven. Forgotten children conform a new faith, avidity and lust controlled by hate, never-ending search for your shattered sanity, souls of damnation in their own reality, chaos rampant at an age of distrust, confrontation's impulsive habitat. Wow. I mean, the lyrics go right along with the music. That is just a killer song, South of Heaven. And as a kid listening to that, I mean, that's what I wanted to hear, you know. Again, nothing against the other music that was popular at the time, nothing against Huey Lewis and the News, nothing against Culture Club, nothing against Bon Jovi, nothing against Depeche Mode or The Cure, because I love all that music as well. But this is what I wanted to hear as a 14-year-old. Because as a 14-year-old, you hate everything. And this album hates everything. And this was why it was so killer. That was just part of the reason. It was like the total rebellion. So then we go into Silent Scream, which is getting into the thrash. It's just, the production on this album is crystal clear. I mean, every song just, you don't have to, your ears don't have to fight to listen to anything. It's all right there for you. Live Undead, another one. I just love that song. And then I love Behind the Crooked Cross is next. And just the guitar lick, it's just classic metal. And it makes you want to bang your head. And just the imagery of that title, Behind the Crooked Cross. You get that Nazi symbolism, and it's just scary, but it's like goosebumpy, and it still gives me goosebumps. And then the last song, Mandatory Suicide, classic Slayer. I love it. I love the ending when Tom is reciting, some war epics towards the end. It's just, it's very powerful. And that's side one. I mean, South of Heaven, Silent Scream, Live Undead, about being buried alive, Behind the Crooked Cross, and Mandatory Suicide. That could have been the album right there. But no, we get a side two. Side two opens up with Ghosts of War, which is an underrated Slayer song. I remember as a kid listening to it. It starts out this weird way. It's got a, it almost sounds like the volume is turned down. Don't make the mistake to turn it up, though, because then the song kicks into high gear and the volume comes back up again, and it'll scare the crap out of you if you turn your volume up. That song is awesome. There's, I'm going to pull the lyrics out again because I don't want to try to bastardize the lyrics here. I think my favorite part of that is when it slows down in the midsection and Tom's saying, I deal in pain, all life I drain, I dominate, I seal your fate. I deal in pain, all life I drain, memories can't ignore, rise, ghosts of war. I mean, that song is just killer. Next, Read Between the Lies, top 5 song for me for Slayer. I talked about this in the top 10 songs by Slayer. Hopefully I put that in the top 5 because it's awesome. It's about TV evangelists, and at this time, everybody was writing a song about TV evangelists. So, again, the lyrics. Evangelist, you claim God speaks through you. Your restless mouth full of lies gains popularity. You care not for the old that suffer when empty pockets cry from hunger. The lyrics, I mean, reading this right now, say what you want about Slayer's lyrics. I mean, that's poetry right there. That's metal poetry. The lyrics for Read Between the Lies are by Tom and Carrie. So, music by Hanneman. That song is wow. That's an amazing song. Then you have Cleanse the Soul. That's another thrash masterpiece. Some great lead work by Kerry King and Jeff Hanneman. You have Spill the Blood. Oh, Spill the Blood's last. I'm sorry. I'm reading they don't have the lyrics for Dissident Aggressor in here. Then you've got Dissident Aggressor, and that's the first time I think I ever heard that song, Dissident Aggressor. I didn't realize it was a Priest song at the time, so I went back and discovered the Priest version. But it's a cool song for Slayer to cover, because it's one of those songs that I don't think a lot of people realize is a Judas Priest song, or maybe they've never even actually heard the song. But the song is just great. So this album, every song is killer. The artwork is killer. I mean, look at them on the back. 1988, they're going to kick your ass. Look at them. The long hair, the leather jackets. That's just 1988 metal right there. That's all I got to say. So I'll definitely be listening to this today. This is what the vinyl looked like. Classic black. And I'd love to know your thoughts on Slayer. What's your favorite Slayer album? What's your favorite period of Slayer? Do you like their later stuff? Do you like the early stuff? I mean, for me, the trilogy of Rain and Blood, South of Heaven, and Seasons, not many bands can match that intensity. And out of those three, this one for me. So that's it. Go listen to Slayer. Actually, you know what? Go outside, wherever you live right now, and just scream Slayer and see what happens.